to the Charlie Kirk Show. More with Alex Berenson as the president's cabinet meeting is ongoing. We're playing that in the break, so you can check it out there. Alex, so you are basically alleging here that there were so many issues with this trial, especially with kids. Would you say that this should not have been approved by the FDA, regardless of whether or not this child died tragically? Do you think there's still a case that this should not have been approved regardless of that fact?
Well, the girl did die. I mean, whether or not the vaccine killed her, we don't know. We do know the vaccine caused lots of other side effects in children, okay? And we know that the vaccine didn't work very well in children, and we know that children were at very low risk. I mean, essentially no risk if they were at all healthy from, death or serious injury from COVID. I mean, it did happen occasionally, but it was very rare. So on balance, the FDA shouldn't have approved these for kids. And I don't know if you recall, but in 2021, there was a move in certain blue states to even try to mandate these vaccines for kids going to public school. Fortunately, it didn't go anywhere. Governor Newsom tried to make that happen. There were other governors who tried to make that happen. And I think, fortunately, they realized that the parental pushback would be so severe, even in blue states, that they didn't do it. But the fact that they even considered it tells you how in the tank they were for the vaccine companies and how they lost their minds about the risks and benefits of this vaccine. No, this vaccine should not have been approved for children. The mRNAs should not have been approved for children. Again, European countries didn't go this route. And I think the FDA under, Bobby Kennedy, under the new FDA commissioner, Marty Macri, and under Macri Prasad, who actually runs the vaccine division, I hope those guys are going to push to essentially pull approval. On some level, it doesn't matter at this point because parents have seen this for themselves and they've profoundly rejected the mRNA vaccines for kids. Something like 3% of kids got boosters last year. Wow. And this year it's going to be fewer. So people know, they know that they got their kids vaccinated for this. Unfortunately, a lot of them were foolish enough to do that, or, foolish is the wrong word. They were sort of suckered into doing it in 2022. And they saw their kids had, in many cases, bad fever, severe side effects. And then guess what? The kids who weren't vaccinated and got COVID had like a day of a cold. So they know it was a really bad bet. And I think we're in a place where, we're going forward. There's going to be a lot more skepticism. One question people have said to me is there going to be accountability here? Is somebody going to actually crack the hammer on Moderna or on Pfizer? And I don't know the answer to that. It sort of depends on what the companies actually hid, what their behavior was. They have very strong legal protections. But if their conduct was really bad, there might be a way to pierce those. But I don't want to promise that because it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next question: is what does accountability look like? Can these families sue? I know we have the vaccine immunity with these vaccine makers, and so the question is then, what are the lessons learned, and what can the new regime at the FDA do to protect parents and kids?
Regime is going to be a lot more skeptical about vaccines. That is the key. And we need to be more skeptical in general about drug companies going forward, as they should be, but they're going to be very skeptical about vaccines. The word vaccine to people on the left and in the public health community, it's almost like this religious word to them. It's like if you have to bow to the great God vaccine, and you can't raise questions, and you can't say, hey, maybe a vaccine that makes sense for a 75-year-old doesn't make sense for a 2-year-old. And maybe, if your child is at zero risk from hepatitis B, forcing them to get a hepatitis B shot when they're at birth doesn't make a lot of sense. So there's been this, again, this love, this strange fixation in the public health community with being unwilling to question vaccines. And it's very clear that Vinay and Marty and RFK are going to be more skeptical. And, are they going to do everything the way I would do it? Not necessarily, but they're going to follow the science. I think they're going to try to make good decisions. And I hope that's going to lead to a smarter vaccine schedule. And ideally, what it will lead to is more parental confidence, not less. But getting these mRNA COVID shots off the market for kids is the first step in that.
Yeah, well said. I actually agree with you that it's going to lead to more parental trust. If we're willing to say no to certain vaccines and yes to others, I think it's going to inspire a lot more trust with parents out there. Alex, we got to wrap up here. Tell us where people can follow you.
You can read this story on Unreported Truths. It's my Substack. It's free. You can sign up. And I also I'm on X. I'm pretty prolific there. But guys, it's really great to talk to you. And
you too.
And again, I don't want to be emotional, but it feels good to be on with you guys.
Great. It was great to have you, Alex. We'll be right back.